Thank you for listening to this presentation. We want to make sure everyone hears the same information. The first thing we're going to start with some classroom information. Your child will receive a note from the office reminding them about our birthday book club, and when they have a birthday that month, they can bring a book to share to the class, and the class can keep it to add to their classroom library. And if you'd like to come and read the book with your child's class, just let the teacher know. We need to remind you that you cannot send out birthday invitations even if you invite the entire classroom. That's just not part of our handbook policies that we can follow. If you would like to do book orders, your child will send those home, and you can pay for them online if you're interested in that. When your child is going home with another student, we need notes from both of them so we can verify that you have given them permission. So please send a note even if someone is coming home with your child. You can see that you can print some transportation notes off our website. So it's a great place to use that form if you would like that. We have classroom volunteers we love to use, and we want to remind you or let you know, you might not know, that if you are going to be a classroom volunteer, you need to watch the video on our webpage about volunteers, and from after that, or if you've already turned yours in, you need to go to the office and turn your background check in. And if you've done that already, go back and watch the video for volunteers, please. Your child will bring home a green home folder, and inside that will be their spelling words, as you have seen. That will be in there for 2 weeks. And then also a record of reading, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. On Friday, we'll send home a newsletter through our email that hopefully will keep you updated on things we're doing. We sent home a schedule on Meet Your Teacher Night, and it should also be posted on our webpage if you need to go back and reference that at some time. Just a reminder that every Wednesday we start at 9:45, and the only exception to that right now is our Wednesday of conferences that week in October. That will be a full day on Wednesday. When your child brings a healthy snack, we want to make sure it is something that's going to help them with their learning. So any sugary items or items that aren't quite healthy, if you keep those at home, that would be great. And when a child has a fever, we would like you to, help each other out and make everybody healthy in the classroom, and wait 24 hours before you send them back. That would be appreciated. And then we're going to do some field trips this year, and Mrs. Hassler has mentioned that she would like those background checks done a month before the field trip. We haven't set ours up exactly, but we probably in late September, maybe early October, will walk up to the mansion. And so if you're interested in doing that with us, if you could go ahead and get that background check done, you can go to the LFE forms on our website for directions. I want to talk now about Reader's Workshop and how we do that. In any of our workshops we craft, which is when the teacher really teaches the skill and gets feedback from the students, and then we compose, which means we work together on the skill, and then the students come together and reflect. And one of the most important things we kind of find that we want to share with parents this time of year is talking about Just Right books. And our goal is for your child to be reading the right kind of book during the school day that makes them a better reader. And so we want them to be able to feel what that feels like. We don't want them to be reading easy books. It's not going to really train their muscles. And we don't want them to be reading difficult books, because then they're really having a difficulty understanding. And so what that looks like and sounds like for each kid is different. And a lot of times we find kids that are either sound like great readers but are not comprehending, or kids that are pretending to read, and which is just not something that we want students to do. So it takes us some time to get to know your child, so please be patient if we're not allowing students to check out certain books here at school. Know that it's the ultimate goal is for us to help your child really feel what a good Just Right book is, and we have to really analyze that, not knowing your child as well, and looking at some information from last year. So, using small groups and having conferences with them will help us get to know them better in the next couple weeks. But right now we're setting up routines, so it takes us a little bit longer. All of our workshop areas are based on learning targets, and in reading we really work on skills and strategies for our reader. So if your child is coming home saying that they're limited on certain books, please be patient with us on that. One of the ways we find out how your child is doing is we'll give the developmental reading assessment, and it's a great tool because we can find out maybe where your child's reading, where their strengths are, maybe it's in fluency, about how fast and how slow they read, if they have expression, their comprehension, and so that really helps us know as a reader. As they become close to the end of the year with that assessment, the reading turns from like a retell after they're done reading, where they close the book and tell us everything, and it turns to we send them off and they have to write about what they're reading, and they get to go back and reference the book, but that skill changes a lot, and so that can be quite difficult for some second graders at the end of the year. So we're working on that with them and training them how that looks, but know that the level at the end of second grade can be quite different since it's a written test. Our NWA is another assessment that second and fourth graders use, and it's on their Chromebook, and so it can be a little difficult because they have to sit for longer periods and answer questions, and it's a type of test that will ask them difficult questions until they miss it, which is new to second graders most of the time, and they can be easily frustrated, but we talk with the students about doing their best, and we'll give that test in math one time and then reading one time in the fall. If a child is struggling a little bit, we will have RTI for those students in math or reading, and we will contact you if your child's being progress monitored, which means we're taking more data than we typically would, and we might even pull together groups with other teachers, and we'll call that RTI, so that's just response to intervention. It might be for enrichment, it might be for remediation. But if they're being progress monitored, you'll be notified. We do want to make sure that you know about Senate Bill 319, which says when students are reading a grade level below, that they have to be retained. So we really try to look at that in second grade.
Hello parents, Mrs. Hart here. What you see right now is our current LFE webpage. On it you're going to find things like our ELA tab, our math tab, science, social studies, reading, etc. You'll also find a parent tab here and a student tab with different websites that they may be familiar with. Here's where you can go to find newsletter information as well as all of our classroom schedules in case you need to know where or when we are going to be somewhere. As this says right here, we will be phasing this website out throughout the school year, so if you go to it and you see something that looks like this, maybe, wait for it, there it is. If you see something like this, do not be alarmed. This is what we are moving our website to, so get excited to see something like that. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our math workshop this year. We are structuring it this year to have a couple different sections. So first, your student's going to start with whole group instruction in math, and there we'll talk about a certain skill. Then together we'll do some problem solving to figure it out. We'll work on some writing in math and do some cooperative learning as well. From there we'll break into different small groups, and the teachers will either instruct to continue challenging your student or will instruct to remediate and further help with a specific skill that maybe we could use more practice on. In math, your students will also be doing different drills. We'll be working on different strategies in fun ways. We'll be working with games. We'll be doing different sprints is what we call them, and timed tests. They'll be working in partners. They'll be working in groups. They'll be doing a lot of hands-on things, games, activities. All these things help to further cement the concept that we're teaching. This year, some of the strategies to solve problems do look a little bit different. So you might see some parent tip sheets coming home just to help show you the strategies and how we're teaching something. So if one of your kiddos needs help with homework, you and I, or you and any of the other teachers, we're all on the same page with how we're teaching it to the students. Also, you'll see here weekly math facts. We will be continuing with those, so here's a little more information about that. Math facts will be practiced at school, but we would like it if you would also practice these at home. If you need a copy of flashcards, just let us know. We'd be happy to provide that for you. In second grade, we do need to know addition and subtraction facts to 20 by the end of the school year. Now, a lot of us already know several of them, but we do need to be able to do 55 facts of these math facts within 4 minutes and 30 seconds. We at school will assess students weekly, and we'll also be sending homework home, practice tests home, weekly or bi-weekly, depending on the time of year. And if you would please time students and send back to school with a parent initial or a parent signature, we would greatly appreciate that. We will also show students where to find some practice games and programs on the Chromebooks. And they really enjoy doing these different things. So, at LFE, you've probably seen different posters and things around the rooms and around the school. We follow these tribal agreements not only at the school, but very much so in our classrooms. So all students are expected to have mutual respect for all staff, all students, and everyone in the building. So we feel like, everything falls within that. They're also expected to be attentive listeners to all students and teachers. They have the right to pass, but they also need to make sure that they're participating. And then another wonderful rule that we have is that all students need to appreciate others and not say put downs. Basically, following that golden rule. I know my class hears that said a lot to them. So here's an example of what you might see in any of our classrooms. This is a picture of a safe seat. Here you'll see a second grade think sheet. It talks about emotions, who they need to apologize to. We've all practiced one of these out together. If you see one of these come home, you'll probably already have been in contact with a teacher. But, just make sure you kind of chat with your kiddo if you feel the need to. Here are a couple of posters that some of our safe seats might have in them. They have different strategies, ways to calm down if we're feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, different sensory objects, different ways to breathe, different things to think about. So that's really nice, and some students really enjoy going back there just to have a mental break. Discipline in our classrooms, actually in the whole school, looks the same. So there are 5 steps. The first step is going to be a redirection or a warning. We're going to let them know, please stop what you're doing, fix it. And if they do, wonderful, we get on with our day. If they need another redirection, then we will send them to our safe spot in our room. After that, if they still can't control, their emotions, how they're feeling, or if they can't fix the behavior, then we will send them to a buddy room. Now that can be somewhere else in second grade, or it can be another grade level as well. From there, if that's just not working, we can send them to the focus room, and hopefully that will help. And then from there, it's a referral to the office. Over here, you'll see exceptions based on individual needs. There can be modifications made to this process. Sometimes we do have to skip a step or something like that. So usually parents are in the know when things like this happen. At LFE, we also practice something called conscious discipline, and what this is a social emotional classroom management program that teachers use. And what we do is we use everyday life events to teach children and adults, honestly, about self-control, conflict resolution. It develops character and social skills all in one. So it's a really wonderful way for us to talk about how to be people that everybody wants to be around. So, thank you.